Greetings, my beautiful lovelies. It's Emmy. How are you? It's great to see you and welcome back. Today's video is sponsored by Olipop. Olipop is a new kind of soda that combines classic soda flavors with 2 to 5 grams of sugar and prebiotic fiber to support your digestive health. Olipop is bringing back their limited edition Yeti cans. Vintage Cola and Ginger Ale have returned to the lineup, and this year they're introducing the crisp apple flavor. Love the design of this can, so stinking cute. And let's go ahead and give it a taste. Cheers. It tastes like an effervescent apple cider. Now let's give the ginger ale a taste. In an equally cute can, these are limited edition Yeti cans. They're so stinking cute and very, very collectible. Ginger ale is a classic flavor for me. It reminds me of being a kid and being on the plane for the very first time and having ginger ale in a little cup with ice. So nostalgic, and to this day, it's a tradition my kids continue to carry on. Every time we get on the plane, they always request ginger ale on ice. So let's give this one a taste. This version of ginger ale to me tastes more like a ginger brew. You can definitely taste the flavors of ginger, and again, pleasantly effervescent. Did you know that most Americans do not get enough fiber? Olipop makes it easier to support your gut health. Olipop is available in over 50,000 retailers nationwide, including Costco, Walmart, and Target. You can buy them in single cans, a 4-pack, or a 15-pack from Costco. Want to try Olipop? Buy 2 cans and Olipop will pay you back for 1. You can try crisp apple or any flavor you like. You can click the link down below or scan the QR code above. Big thanks to Olipop for sponsoring this video and for their continued support so I can make better videos for all of you. All right, my lovelies, today we were going to be making Millionaire's shortbread. This decadent dessert looks stunning. It has 3 layers, one of shortbread, second caramel, and then a nice chocolate ganache layer on top. When you slice it into bars, you get this beautiful profile, but it sounds absolutely stunning. Essentially a shortbread version of a Twix is what I am imagining. Today I'm going to be adapting Preppy Kitchen's recipe. I will put a link down below to the original. So let's go ahead and get started. So let's begin with lining our pan. We're going to be using a 9x9 brownie pan. I'm going to use a sheet of parchment so it'll be easier to remove the bars after they're baked. If you don't have parchment, you could substitute aluminum foil with lots of butter, or if you don't have foil, you could just use lots of butter so it doesn't stick to the pan. So this is what I do to line my pan. Fold your sheet in half, fold it in half again, and then estimate what a quarter is going to look like, and we're going to remove this section right here. This and like this. Open it up and press it into our pan. Now we've got these little flaps to lift it up after we're done baking. So in my bowl, I'm going to add 2 sticks of butter. This is 1 cup. So it's pretty cold here in New England in wintertime, so room temperature is a little bit chillier. It's harder to get the butter to get warmed up, so I like to mash it down with a rolling pin, and it helps soften it up faster and easier. So 2 sticks of butter, 1 cup, along with some sugar. That's a 1/2 cup, and a little less than 1/2 teaspoon of kosher salt. I'm using less because my butter is salted. And now we're going to beat this till it's light and fluffy. I'm going to just buzz this for 5 seconds. Now we're adding 1 egg yolk and a teaspoon of vanilla. Continue creaming. All right, now we're adding 2 cups of flour. This is regular all-purpose flour. Just gonna blend this until it's just combined. I think I need to get a different hand mixer. It's just too much. I'm gonna switch to my bread whisk here. This is one of those tools that I was very skeptical about when I first got it, but I use it surprisingly frequently. It smells great. I smell all of that butter. So trying to incorporate the flour in there as best I can. I'm avoiding using the mixer A, because I don't want everything flying. B, I don't want to toughen this too much. By beating the flour up with the mixer, which is stronger than I am, we can create a lot of gluten, and I don't want a tough cookie. This is a cookie. We're not making an elastic bread. So opting to go with hand mixing for this part. Okay, so looks like all the flour has moistened. It's touched some of that butter mixture. So I think we are ready to put it into the pan. Okay, now we're going to pour this into our pan. Now we kind of distribute everything into the corners, chop any clumps. Everything tends to collect in the middle, or pile, kind of mound in the middle. So I like to push things out to the edges because that's where it tends to get thin. Now, give it a press with a flexible spatula. Now we're going to switch to a measuring cup with a flat bottom. And I like to use that to give it a good press down. So this does a really good job at packing things down and getting a nice even layer. I was having problems with the dough sticking to the bottom of my measuring cup while I was compacting everything down, and I came up with this instead. So I'm using this spatula. I'm just pressing down on it, and it's making a lovely flat surface while compacting things down. This compacting method using a measuring cup is better suited for a drier textured crust. This one's a little bit wetter, a little bit more pasty, so I'm using this spatula and it seems to be working out just great. It's a little more Play-Doh-like. So this is nice and flat. Now that this is nice and smooth, we're going to pop it into our preheated 350-degree oven and bake it for about 22 minutes or until everything is nice and golden. So while the shortbread is baking, we can make the caramel layer. So into a pot, we're going to combine our brown sugar, which is the basis of any good caramel. And now we're adding butter, another classic caramel ingredient, one stick that I've cut up, corn syrup, more sugar. This will help with the crystallization or avoiding crystallization when we are cooking our sugar. Another very popular sweet ingredient, condensed milk, sweetened. So this will add more dairy richness and sugar to the caramel. So many things you can make with condensed milk. It's kind of amazing. Splash of vanilla and about a 1/4 teaspoon of salt because I'm using salted butter. Now we're going to heat this up and cook this on medium heat until everything is melted and combined. Ideally, we want this to reach 225 degrees for the correct texture. So starting to bubble on the edges. Yes. And this will begin to caramelize. Alrighty, lovelies, don't do what I just did. Look what I did. I scorched the heck out of this. Ding dang. So that's too bad. I had this set on medium and it's scorched. So look who's going back to the store to get more ingredients. Me. So when you make this, if you make it, stick to low. Don't go medium. Dang it. All right, see you in a little bit. Oh, that sucks. All right, lovelies, we are back to attack the caramel again. This time I'm gonna do things a little differently. I'm gonna melt my butter first, just so we have some liquid at the bottom, so we're less likely to scorch. That's the plan of attack. So again, medium-low heat, full stick of butter. I'm not gonna bother chopping it, just let it do its melty thing. Okay, now I will add the condensed milk. And before I add any other ingredients, I'm going to thoroughly combine this. In goes the corn syrup. Make sure nothing sits on the bottom of the pan. Good pinch of salt. Stirring to scrape the bottom. No scorching. Now, brown sugar. 1 cup. And a splash of vanilla. So Constantly whisking this, scraping the bottom. So the butter is finally getting incorporated, emulsified into this mixture, and the brown sugar is incorporated too. Nice. So I think also what helps is to make this in a heavy bottomed pan, so again, to avoid scorching. This really wants to scorch, so you really have to be vigilant. Stir it constantly. It's definitely taking longer than the 5 minutes it said because I'm being super careful not to burn this. So it's cooking at a lower temperature for slower because I don't want my caramel to burn. Okay, we're stirring constantly here and it's bubbling. It's bubbling away and scraping constantly. It's gonna be a lot to edit out of this. We're almost there. We're at 120, 220. So once it gets kind of boiling and you keep it from scorching, we're all right. All right, kill the heat, turn this off, take the probe out. Okay, kill the heat, give this a final stir, get any lumpages out. This is wicked hot. Careful not to burn yourself. And I've got some lumps. Don't talk about lumps at all. Here's my shortbread crust, and this turned out beautifully. Golden, lovely. We're gonna take matters in our own hands, and we're going to sieve this over the top to get rid of any of these lumps. See those lumps? There's some little particles in there that I'm not happy about. So take the sieve and I'm just gonna dump this in here. And work out any of those scorched bits that got in there. This is already starting to set up because it's cooling off. So that'll get the majority of the bits out. See those little bits? Don't like those. Now, I'm gonna move this to the corners of the pan. Still has some little bits in it, but they're not black bits, they look caramelized. But I think we can get away with these little bits. Not perfect, but we did manage to keep most of the big bits out. So, we're gonna let this cool just a bit before adding our final layer. If we put our chocolate on too quickly, the heat of the caramel and the heat of the chocolate will cause them to kind of melt together. We want nice clean layers. So let this cool for 10 minutes and then we will put on the chocolate layer. Okay, it's been 10 minutes since we added our caramel layer. Now we're going to make the chocolate layer. I've got 1.5 cups of chocolate chips, semi-sweet, and 1/3 cup of heavy cream. We're going to be making a ganache, which is a combination of cream and chocolate. And now I'm going to place this in the microwave at 30-second intervals until this is softened, and then we can mix it all together and everything's nice and melted. You can also do this over a pot of boiling water. 1 minute later, we have melted chocolate chips. I'm going to blend that together with the heavy cream. This is the same combination that you can use to make truffles. You can also use this combination to coat cakes as well. Yum. Okay, so it happens pretty quickly and we've got a really luscious, glossy mixture here. Now we take our ganache, pour it right over top. Ooh, hoo, 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 hoo. Then use my offset spatula and smooth things over. Look at that. Cover up all of the caramel. Ooh, this is gonna be a nice thick layer. So spread this evenly. Remember, don't neglect the corners. Now we're gonna finish with a little bit of flaky salt while the chocolate is still soft. Okay, perfect. Alrighty, now we are done with the preparation of the $1 million shortbread. And now we have to exercise a little bit of patience. We have to allow this to cool before we can slice it. Right now, the chocolate is really soft and the caramel layer is soft. So if we want a nice clean slice, we need this to be cooled. So everything can be nice and set. Alrighty, lovelies, I will see you in a little bit and we can finally give the $1 million shortbread a taste. Alrighty, lovelies, I am back with our cooled shortbread. So let's cut it up and give it a taste. So if this has worked properly, we should be able to just pull this out. All right, let's loosen it in the corners. The ganache really glued it in, not to mention the caramel. All right, let's see if we can get it out now. Yes. Ta-da! Let's see how it looks. Ooh, looking good. Look at those layers. Alrighty, smells great. It smells buttery and chocolatey. It smells fantastic. Now, how big of a square are we gonna make these? Let's cut them into thirds. That means we're only gonna get 9 bars. Holy smokes. All right, so these have been sitting in the fridge for about an hour. So it's not super hard, but hard enough so that everything is set up and sliceable. And look at that. That's gorgeous. Oh man. So now that I see it in cross section, it does feel more like a shortbread. I think the namesake is correct because although we have that pretty thick chocolate layer and thick caramel layer, the thickest layer is the shortbread, the cookie. Now we'll cut this in half or in thirds. Oh my goodness. Oh, look at that. That's pretty. Look, I trimmed all the sides so that we get a really nice clean cut. Beautiful. And guess what I'm gonna taste? I'm going to taste the end pieces. Alrighty, lovelies, my very first taste of Millionaire shortbread. Here we go. Itadakimasu. Boy, is that ever good. So the gestalt is very similar to a Twix bar. You've got chocolate, caramel, and then cookie layer. But this is so much better. First of all, the cookie experience is lovely. It's decadently buttery and it has a nice crumbly texture, yet it holds its shape. It's not firm like a Twix when you get that kind of firm snap crunch. The butterscotchy caramel layer is wonderful and I guess in the end worth the effort, worth making it after all, because it tastes more butterscotchy than just a regular caramel. And it's not sticky. It's so good. And when I say butterscotchy, it's because we added a stick of butter in there, so it's got a really nice toasted buttery flavor along with the sweet caramel flavors, and then you've got that layer of chocolate on top, which is very generous. And I really like the use of semi-sweet chocolate here. It doesn't taste too sweet. A lot of chocolate bars, including Twix bars, use milk chocolate and milk chocolate with a lot of sugar. So for me, generally, candy bars tend to be too sweet, but this is a lovely balance. Plus we added a little bit of that salt on top. So it's a nice little foil to all of the sweetness that's on top of the shortbread, but it tastes rich, but it does not taste overly indulgent. It does taste indulgent and resplendent and luxurious. That's why it's called Millionaire shortbread, but it's not excessive somehow. It's really nicely balanced. And a piece like this seems like it would be too much, just too big of a serving for me. I think a fraction of this would be enough, but you know, I have to bite it. So let's give it a go. Look at that. How gorgeous is that? If you like Twix bars or are a fan of Heath bars or toffee, I think you will really like this. In terms of flavor, it reminds me of what would happen if Chessmen were to have a baby with a Twix. But the texture is a little bit different. It's a little more cakey than that, but absolutely delicious. So good. All right, my lovelies, there you have it. Millionaire shortbread, absolutely delicious. The only thing I would quibble with this recipe is that I found the caramel to be very, very persnickety and sensitive to heat. So just be careful not to scorch your caramel. Totally lives up to the moniker of Millionaire's shortbread. All right, my lovelies, happy holidays. I hope you enjoyed that one. I hope you learned something. Please share this video with your friends. Follow me on social media, like this video, subscribe, and I shall see you in the next one. Toodaloo, take care, bye. Shortbread burp, shortbread burp, shortbread burp, shortbread. Oh my gosh. I mean, that profile's so good. Delicious.